How is everybody doing? Welcome to the Sports 2.0 show. I'm one of your co-hosts, Will Reed. I'm joined here by Amber. How are you doing today, Amber? How's your day? How's your week been?
Hi, Will. Yeah, my week has been very interesting. I am a photographer. I've had a lot of photo shoots this week. How's your week been?
It's been pretty good. I started off today. I've been really tired today, actually. I had to wake up for a dentist appointment at 7:50 a.m., so that was
Nice.
pretty early. And the dentist was not kind to me. The dental hygienist was really going hard at my teeth. So that was pretty painful. But we're making it through it. I took a nap today, so I'm feeling a little rejuvenated for our show. So
Good.
you mentioned you were a photographer, so obviously you do take a little shots there. Let's talk about the shots on the ice. Uh, First of all, subscribe to the Sports 2.0 network. Hit the like button. Start getting a following for the Sports 2.0 network. We got a lot of good content rolling out for you guys. But let's hop into the Canadiens versus the Golden Knights. The Knights lead the series 1-0. We have a game later today to look forward to. Amber, what are your initial thoughts on this series?
Well, obviously, the Golden Knights came away with the 4-1 win for the first game to come with the lead of the series, 1-0. I thought the Golden Knights, their key was that they played such a full strength game. They had goals from Theodore, Holden, Janmark, and Martinez. So it wasn't just one particular player being the star. This showed that their offense is completely loaded. And you also got to look at Marc-Andre Fleury. He had a .966 save percentage, and he only allowed one goal from the Montreal Canadiens. And I think that combined with their offense is what was the key for that game.
Yeah, I really like what you mentioned. They had Holden, Theodore, and Martinez score. That's three defensemen scoring from the blue line. It's always key if you can get the defenseman to jump up and score and add to the offense. What I think is really interesting about this series is that this is the first time the Montreal Canadiens will be playing outside of Canada. Obviously, they lost 4-1 in this game one. And I really think it's a big question mark. Will Montreal struggle versus non-Canadian teams? They've been stuck in the North Division for the whole year after the reshuffle of the divisions due to COVID. The North Division was often seen as the worst division in hockey for much of the year, with Toronto kind of dismantling every team that was in their way before they ultimately fell to the Canadiens in the round before this. But what do you think? Do you think Montreal can start picking it up against the Golden Knights and kind of get rid of this moniker that Canadian teams won't have any competition against the American teams?
Well, Montreal had a lot of issues in this game. For one, they had 3 minor penalties back to back between the first and the second period. And I think that really put a dent in any momentum that they had built up. And then also, Montreal is now, after having lost this game, they were on a 7-game winning streak. They were doing pretty good. And then this is just a huge blow at them. And I kind of see like they need to take less penalties, and Price needs to get better. Allowing 4 goals cannot happen in a Stanley Cup series against the Vegas Golden Knights. It just cannot.
Yeah, I mean, if Price is going to allow 4 goals, you have Marc-Andre Fleury on the other side. He's not going to let in that much. He's a proven playoff performer, plenty of Stanley Cup experience. He's going to do the best for the Golden Knights. And I think you're right. The penalties were a big killer for the Canadiens in this game one. But you and I both talked before the show, and we think the Canadiens can bounce back. How do you think the Canadiens bounce back in game two?
Well, I think that Montreal, like we just mentioned, they really need to get harder on their offense and defense. So both of them, but they've got to stop with the penalties. You can't win if you're not at full strength. It's just you cannot keep expecting to just play that good when you don't have all the players that you need on the ice. So they need to
Yeah,
stop taking these petty penalties.
yeah, I expect big performances out of Tyler Toffoli and Nick Suzuki coming up in game two. They've been leading the top line for Montreal for much of this playoff. Nick Suzuki was scoreless in game one. He didn't get any points on the 1 goal for Montreal. Toffoli did get an assist, but Toffoli has proven to be the main goal scorer for the Canadiens during this playoff run. And I think I expect him to get on the board pretty early today. I don't know if they will score first. I think it's gonna be definitely be a close game. Uh, Marc-Andre Fleury has proven that he's not going to let easy games slide by him. But I think Carey Price picks up his play. He has been pretty good in this playoffs. I believe he has a goals against average of 2.15, save percentage in the high 920s. So those are great numbers, but when you're competing against the Golden Knights, you can't really let anything get by you. Here's the other question I pose for you, Amber. Can the Canadiens break the Canadian Stanley Cup drought? The last Canadian team to win a Stanley Cup was the Montreal Canadiens in 1993. And the last team to make the Cup was the Vancouver Canucks in 2011 when they lost to the Boston Bruins. So do you think the Canadiens break the Canadian Stanley Cup drought this year?
I do. I don't have a very logical explanation for it, but it's just this kind of feeling I've had since the playoffs started is that this could be Montreal's year. I see them bringing home the cup. And watching through the playoff series, we've seen that they are the best Canadian team right now. So if somebody's going to do it, it's going to be them. And I can see that happening this year.
Yeah, with them coming out of the North Division, I saw that kind of as a surprise. I felt the Maple Leafs were kind of going to just run through this division and have their chance at going up against one of the top teams, either Colorado or Vegas, for the chance to go to the Stanley Cup. So it's kind of a shocker to me that the Canadiens actually made it through this division in the playoffs. But like you've been talking about, this run has kind of felt magical for the Canadiens. They were slept on. They ended up winning their series against the Maple Leafs. They sweep the Winnipeg Jets in round 2. So it's kind of been feeling like a good momentum for the Canadiens. They lost in game 1, but 7 wins in a row prior to game 1. They felt like they've been on a hot streak. I could see the Canadiens pulling this one out. But I don't know, because they will have to go up against the Stanley Cup defending champions, in my opinion, who will come out of the Islanders versus Lightning series. The Lightning tied the series up 1-1 yesterday. Great performances, 5-on-5 from the Lightning. What are your thoughts on this series?
Yeah, so I think definitely Brayden Point is going to be the key to this series. He has scored a goal in each of the games against the New York Islanders. And I think, even though they're down, I think that they're going to be able to turn this around simply because of him.
Yeah, I mean, they really showed what their strength was 5-on-5 yesterday. I mean, Nikita Kucherov was a maestro yesterday. He had 3 assists, leading to the Tampa Bay victory, 4-2. He's just simply impeccable. I hate to say it because I'm a huge Nikita Kucherov hater. I've got my Capitals jersey in the background, my Capitals hat. We got knocked out in the first round versus the Bruins. It was very upsetting. But Nikita Kucherov, stats on the board. He has 5 goals and 17 assists in 13 games in the playoffs this year. That's 22 points. Ryan O'Reilly led the playoffs 2 years ago for the Conn Smythe with 23 points with the St. Louis Blues when they won the Stanley Cup. And Nikita Kucherov is already at that mark, and he still has at least 7 games to play if they sweep the rest of the series and they sweep the finals. So he's going to surpass that mark. He's been absolutely unbelievable since coming back this year. Let's keep in mind he didn't play a single regular season game this whole year. He was out all year with I believe it was a knee injury of some sort, lower body injury. He didn't play a lot. Stamkos was injured for a lot of the season. Andre Vasilevsky had some injury problems. So now that the Lightning are fully healthy, I see them as an unstoppable force.
Yeah, and the Lightning, I mean, they played 56 games to make it to the series without Kucherov. And now they've got their star back. They're going to be back on like mark with that. And then plus, like I said, they were down, so they lost the first game, of course, but they were able to come back, and now they've tied the series. So I can see the Lightning taking this one.
Yeah, I mean, with how things have gone in the East, for the Eastern Division for the Islanders, they did a great job containing the Bruins when they had the chance. Their first series, I forget who it was against, but they really didn't have any struggles there. But the Lightning proved that 5-on-5, they just control the pace of play. Kucherov can play at any speed he wants. He can slow it down. He can speed it up. Stamkos still has one of the best shots in the game. And as you mentioned, Brayden Point has consistently been getting himself on the board. So I find it hard to see Tampa fall out of this one.
I mean, we also got to look at Tampa's playing with a team that is almost $10 million over the cap because of LTIR. It's hard to go up against a team like that, no matter how good you are. They're just stacked, and that's the truth.
Yeah. I mean, I won't completely rule out the Islanders in this one. They have Barry Trotz, who I think is one of the best coaches in the game. He's very defensive minded. The Islanders got a bargain of a deal from him when he left the Capitals. Still very disappointed about that to this day. He gave us our one Stanley Cup in franchise history, and then we don't want to pay him to be our coach. But what can you do about it? We have had first round exits ever since he left, so I don't think that's a coincidence. But they are also without their captain, Anders Lee. He suffered a torn ACL, leading to him being out for the rest of the season. That was a big blow, but they've proven that they can still go on without him playing their defensive-minded hockey. They've been kind of doing a rotation inside the net with Ilya Sorokin and Semyon Varlamov. After game one, after game two, Varlamov allowed 4 goals. Maybe we see Ilya Sorokin tomorrow for game 3. What do you think about the Islanders? Do they have any shot against the Lightning?
I think they definitely do. I think this series is besides the cap hit, of course, I would say that it's pretty evenly matched as far as skill. Because you also have to look at, so New York did win the first game. I know that Tampa Bay came back and now they've tied the series, but the Islanders have already showed that they are a competitor on the ice. They've scored 2 goals in each of these, and I think that we can see them putting up a very hard fight for Tampa.
Yeah, I think that's the case. I mean, Barry Trotz has proven to do something with very little with all the teams that he's coached. Back in the day when he was coached the Predators, those teams were never really stacked offensively. They kind of had that defensive mindset that brought them through to the playoffs, brought them through to Stanley Cup appearances. So I think anytime you have Barry Trotz behind your bench, you have a chance. But the Islanders really need their offense to pick up this postseason. I know Matthew Barzal has been their leading point scorer. He had 9 points through the first 2 series through 12 games. But he did end the second series against Boston with 6 points. So he'll be the key offensively for the Islanders if they do want to pick things up 5-on-5. Who are you looking to from the Islanders and Lightning to pick it up if their teams are going to win this series?
I'm with you as well. I do think Barzal will be a key for the Islanders because he did score one of their 2 goals in the first, and I can see him being the one that they're going to turn to. And then, of course, I do think that Brayden Point has got to be the key for the Lightning.
Yeah. I think if the Islanders do have any advantage in this series, it might be their defense. Obviously, Tampa Bay is, stacked on the D-line with Hedman, with Mikhail Sergachev. They do got the big names, but the Islanders have proven to be a defensive force. The team had the second lowest goals against per game in the regular season with just 2.23. And since Barry Trotz has arrived with the Islanders, they've had a league best 2.46 goals against average. However, in this playoff, the Lightning have had the better goals against average with just around 2.4, and the Islanders have been just around 2.7-ish area. The goaltending advantage obviously goes to the Lightning. Vasilevsky has proven that he's a perennial perennial Vezina Trophy finalist. He seems to be in the voting every year since 2018. So I think they have the advantage there. Varlamov is a proven good goaltender, but who knows? He allowed 4 goals in the second game. So we'll have to see there. Do you have any final thoughts on the Canadiens versus Golden Knights, Islanders versus Lightning? Any final thoughts?
I think my final thoughts is that obviously I think if Montreal wants to win, they're going to have to start picking it up. I think they can do it, but they're going to have to play full force. And I do think that they can do that. I think they can come away with a win. And I do believe that Tampa Bay is going to take this series. It's going to take a little bit more effort than what either of the teams are giving out right now, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's going to be I do have that weird gut feeling about the Canadiens this year also. They kind of just seem to have that magic dust sprinkled over their playoff run this year. But the Golden Knights are a tough team to get through. They've been to the conference finals 3 of the last 4 years. They made it to the Stanley Cup final in their first year against the Washington Capitals. Great 2018 playoff, if you ask me. But they're just going to be a tough team to get rid of. They're strong defensively. They've got some guys that can hop up into the offense, and they've got Marc-Andre Fleury backing them up. So I think the Canadiens will have a really tough time getting rid of the Golden Knights. I want to say they're able to do it, but my mind's telling me Golden Knights, my heart's telling me Canadiens. I'm not sure where I go there. When it comes to the Islanders, Lightning, uh, I don't like seeing I don't like seeing a team win it back to back years, but it's kind of hard to bet against the Lightning. They've got the best player playing in the world right now, Kucherov. They've got the best goalie most likely in Vasilevsky. They've got Stamkos, their captain. They've got Hedman and Sergachev on the D line. It's hard to bet against that team, but I mean, my heart in this one, I think my heart and mind will go split. Also, I would like to see the Islanders and Barry Trotz, but my mind's telling me the Lightning. So let's give our final picks. How do you think both series end? Do we get a full 7-game series on both ends, or how do you think the outcomes play?
I think with these matchups that it is going to be a 7-game series. I do see that happening for each of them. And like I said, I do see Montreal coming out on top, and then Tampa Bay playing Montreal. And for my final pick, I've got to go with Montreal for the Stanley Cup. It's like you said, there's like some type of magic hockey dust right now that I see being sprinkled all over them. And I've felt that since the beginning.
Yeah, I'll go with my mind here on my final picks for what the Stanley Cup will be. I'll go with the Golden Knights versus the Lightning. I would like to see Montreal, but the Golden Knights are just too tough of a team to run through. They have the 1-0 advantage now in the series leading into Game 2 tonight. I think they'll be a tough out, and the Lightning, I think, have the advantage in almost every facet of the game over the Islanders, besides maybe defense. Their 5-on-5 versus their man advantage play has been impeccable. I mean, Kucherov, when I mentioned his points earlier, I believe 15 of those 23 points have come on the power play, and the power play for the Lightning is nearing 48% or something when they have the man advantage. So when he said the key to the Canadiens is don't take those penalties. Really, the key to the Islanders on the other side is don't take those penalties, because if you send the Lightning to the man advantage, they're gonna beat you. So I'm going with the Lightning versus the Golden Knights in the series. I think both series on both sides could go 7. I think if there's a series that doesn't go 7, it's the Lightning and Islanders. I think that one probably ends in 6. The Lightning will have the opportunity to go back home after this for Game 5. They will have 2 games in Nassau Coliseum coming up. I see them taking at least one of those and then running through the rest of the series. But in the final, I have the Lightning versus Golden Knights. I'm going to go with the Lightning to repeat. I just think with a healthy lineup of what they have, they're basically unstoppable. If you can roll out a line of Kucherov and Stamkos on one line, then Killorn and Brayden Point on another line, and then you have defense with Hedman at least on one line, Sergachev on one line, then you have Vasilevsky backing it up. It's almost impossible to stop. We saw, they made it to the Stanley Cup last year. They won in 6 games versus the Dallas Stars. They were in the Eastern Conference Finals the year before that. They were in the Eastern Conference Finals the year before that. So against the Washington Capitals. So they've just been a perennial contender. And I like them to win this matchup against the Islanders in the rematch, actually, of last year's conference finals. And I like them to win the Stanley Cup.
That's awesome. And I can see that as a thing, even though I'm going for Montreal. I can definitely see the Lightning doing that. It'll be interesting to get another back-to-back win. We haven't had that since the Penguins.
Yeah. The almighty Penguins that I hate so much. I would like to, if any good thing comes out of a back-to-back Stanley Cup champion, at least it will now take the Penguins off the most recent back-to-back Stanley Cup champions and make it the Lightning. So I would like that. But thanks, everybody, for joining us. I've been one of your co-hosts, Will Reed, joined by Amber Williams. Don't forget to subscribe to the Sports 2.0 Network. We got a lot of good stuff coming for you guys. Basketball on the hardwood, hockey on the ice, talking about the NFL coming up. Lots of stuff coming for you guys. Hope you guys had a great show and have a great rest of your night.